we didn't have a chance to cover this really. I mean, actually, no, we broke this story back in July. And you guys want to know what we're talking about? It's the IDF, the video that was leaked, and this was back in the summer, of what the IDF does to its hostages, not prisoners, hostages. They like to torture them. We know this. They like to beat them. We know this. They like to starve them, embarrass them, humiliate them, psychologically F with them. Guess what else they like to do? They like to rape them. And
the most moral army in the world.
Yes, the most moral army in the world. And so this is Netanyahu. We're going to start with this. Netanyahu responding to the fact that this tape had leaked, and now we're fast forwarding 2 months because the thing happened in July, but now there's been some development, and Netanyahu's finally responding to this, and we're seeing people getting punished for getting this information out to people. So here's Netanyahu's reaction to everything that's gone down. Okay. I'll pause it and get the sound down, and we can read along because he's talking in Hebrew. Well, we know what do we know about when these guys talk in Hebrew, Jay?
That's when they're being more honest. You know, when they talk in English, they got to make sure they tone it down a little bit. But if you really want to hear how they feel, make sure you got that Google Translator running and listen to what they say in Hebrew. So, it's funny because there's actually a interesting overlap between Nick Fuentes fans and Zionists that we'll talk about when we get to that story later. But go ahead. I'm
interested in that part of it as well. Okay, so here's Netanyahu's reaction, very organic reaction to this. Here we go. So he says the event, okay, this is going to go fast. Enormous repercussional damage. It's caused enormous repercussional damage to the state of Israel and Israel Defense Forces, to our soldiers. So what is the repercussion? Does it mean that you're going to have to look at the behavior of these people? Is that what you're saying? Don't get your hopes up. That's not where he's going with this, where you would think that somebody normal would go. This might be the most severe propaganda attack that the state of Israel has experienced since its establishment. I don't recall anything so intensely focused. This requires an independent and impartial investigation. I expect such an investigation will be conducted.
Now, hold on. The investigation is how it got leaked. The investigation isn't why the people were being raped. That's just, part of, I guess, punishment for Palestinian prisoners, because he doesn't care too much about that. What he's so outraged about is the PR disaster that this is going to be for Israel. Because don't forget, they say that the Palestinians and Hamas are the ones doing the raping. However, a lot of evidence seems to be coming out to the contrary.
And so we'll show you. This is what happened to the person who did the leak. From suppressed news, the Israeli army chief prosecutor went missing for hours amid investigations into leaked videos from the prison. Her car was found near Tel Aviv beach with a note suggesting suicide, but police later found her alive and speaking with her husband, raising suspicions that suicide was staged. And there she is. There's a shot from the actual video, and that's I believe that might be the fake letter. But she is still alive, which is good. But there's certainly the ramifications on this is insane. That they're doubling down. And I want to remind everybody who did see that we did cover this in July, that immediately when Israelis found out about this footage, I got to show a little of the footage. I know it's a little disgusting, but in case you guys don't know, should I show it? Should I show just a little bit of the actual tape? I don't know.
I mean, if you want. I mean, I can say the interesting part. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to describe it. They turn their backs. They do that thing where they we're gonna be accomplices and put our some shields up because we know that there's cameras on. So we're gonna do this knowingly that we're doing something we don't want on camera. So they're all conspiring while the rape is happening. So let's see a little bit of this just so you guys can see. It's not, it's more psychologically graphic than anything.
אירוע החיפוש בעציר משתי מצלמות שונות והן מתעדות את מה שקרה רגע אחר רגע.
יש לנו שתי זוויות טובות של מה שקורה שם, מביאים אותו לאזור המצולם.
So not, and we don't have to show too much, but you guys see how many people are involved. This isn't like two of them going aside. This is like this whole team that's all partaking in this. And this is just one that happened to leak. What did the people do when they found out? What did the Israeli population do when they found out about this? Oh, they hit the streets, man. They got angry. They're like, why are we no, not why are we raping hostages? They were mad that they weren't maybe allowed to do it anymore now that this came out. And this
they were protesting because they were upset that the people were being prosecuted over it. And I think the person who released the footage, she said that she was under the impression that the reason they were protesting was because they didn't know that the rape was actually happening. And they thought that the protesters were, fighting back because they thought, the IDF were being unfairly prosecuted for a crime they didn't commit. So she says that she felt that releasing the tape would convince the public who were upset that no, they actually did do it, so you can stop protesting. And instead, the opposite happened. Now, in reality, that kind of sounds like cope to me personally, because I saw Israeli journalists on TV, and we played the clips on this show in the past, where they're on TV arguing in favor of rape as an institutionalized tool of war. So she can say that she thought they were protesting because they thought they were being unfairly prosecuted. But the reality is that if you have people going on TV saying that, and they're having a debate like back and forth on TV about whether or not rape is okay, I mean, clearly enough of them knew about it. So maybe she is trying to do her best to not make Israel look bad because maybe she's coming to her senses. And I'm not saying this is how the majority of Israelis feel, but there clearly is a large enough minority of them that are willing to take it this far. And you do have polls saying that 60% of Israelis believe that Palestinians should be completely wiped out and treated like Amalek. That's women, children, and all men, everybody. Amalek, if they want to treat Palestinians like Amalek, that means they want all the Palestinians wiped out. So over 60% of the population believes that. So this is a radicalized population over there in Israel. There's no way around this. There's no way around saying that, in my opinion. And
this was the footage of them protesting. Like you said, they should not be prosecuting these soldiers. They're doing the thing that they should be entitled to do as the chosen ones. You get that benefit being a superior race. I think that's part of it, right? That whole, we can behave a certain way. And then we can also blame them for it's the projection. This is like Freudian 101, projection, displacement, psychological evaluation. Is that's what you're doing? You're blaming the other. They're doing what you're doing. So we see this time and time again with these psychopaths. And then on top, go ahead.
And it's sick on so many levels, especially because they claim to be a very religious society. And if you were to ask them, they would say, like being gay isn't allowed. Yet you have, and I'm not saying it would be any better if women were being raped. Rape is still rape, but these are male soldiers raping male Palestinian prisoners, and the far right conservative people are advocating for that, saying that it's okay. So everything about it is disgusting, hypocritical, and sick, in my opinion.
Yeah. And all that going on, you still have our favorite news outlets like the New York Times putting this garbage out because they like to play word games with their readers. Defense lawyers demand dismissal of, they put abuse. Should have been rape, because we know it's rape. Case against Israeli soldiers. And then the chief legal officer, Israel's military, resigned after authorizing the leak of a video in the case involving grave abuse. Grave abuse. What is that? What is grave abuse? I guess that can't be as bad as what the Palestinians do to our hostages, right? Grave abuse is bad, but not really bad. Okay, so that's how they're complicit in this at the New York Times. They know what they're doing. They're not bad with words. They're very good with words. They know exactly what they're doing with that. And then as far as you mentioned, Jay, about the Israeli media, the stuff that they're getting away with in Hebrew, talking about that people here would be flabbergasted to hear some of this stuff. They're parading these guys around like this dude on like kind of in this game show fashion. Like they're celebrities now. These are that are raping Palestinian hostages. They're
heroes, and the person who exposed it is the villain. The person who exposed the abuse is being treated by the public as a villain who is against Israel, and the ones who did the raping are being held up as champions of Israel.
Yeah, this is it looks like a game show. Like you're the next contestant. This guy right here. This is what we see if we were to be in Tel Aviv right now and turn on the TV. This is the garbage. We thought it couldn't get much worse than our TV. They're worse. That is worse. Wow.
Yep. I mean, we definitely have our issues in America, but even the most extreme pundits over here, I haven't yet heard them argue for rape as a tool of war. And they say bad things, disgusting things, but we haven't quite hit that level yet. Although, the way things are going, who knows what we'll see in the future. But like, these people are extremely radicalized, like in Israel right now. And this isn't to say that all Jews in America are at this level. I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of them may not understand what's going on, but like in Israel, it's an extremely radicalized society. So I think people in America should have the same attitude towards them that we would have had towards Nazi Germany, meaning that not saying they all need to be like, I don't know. The people who are guilty of crimes need to be held accountable, and they need to go through the modern form of denazification education, something like that. But it's a sad situation.
It's so bizarre how we've retreated. And I get on one hand, you have the world waking up to genocide. You have the world waking up to this special privilege that the certain country gets and the certain actions get and a certain military gets. So people are waking up to that. But at the same time, when we talk about torturing and humiliating and let alone raping, but even just the level of that, what we already know to be wrong. If anyone does it, we know it's wrong if we do it. We lived through Abu Ghraib. Remember Abu Ghraib? We had this was not supposed to get out. Same like this leak of the pictures of the Iraqi detainees, also hostages. We have them hostages, and then U.S. soldiers would torture them, psychologically abuse them, take pictures of them naked and stack them up on each other and treat them as like pieces of crap, and then laugh about it and pose with them. So we saw that. American audiences that saw that were really upset by that. There needed to be ramification because we were told the bad apple. You guys know the bad apple theory. We were told that these were just selected crazy U.S. soldiers that needed to be taught a lesson, and we don't behave that way. That's also a lie because we all behave that. That's how we know this, because Stanford did a study on students and said, let's see if in 30 days we can get half the class to snap on the other half, because we're going to have half of them play like they're prison guards, the other half be prisoners. And they said that the theory of the professors were, if you got 30 days in, the one half of the class would start doing unimaginable things to the other half. That was their theory. They were wrong, Jay. You know what they were wrong about? It didn't take them 30 days. It took them 2 days.
And the crazy thing is, they knew they were in an experiment. Like, they knew that this wasn't for real. Like, and they still did it. So
they did it so quickly, like in 48 hours.
And really quick, while, obviously everything that's going on over there is terrible, I want people to know that we do give our proxies a pass to do stuff like this. And, the president of Syria is another example, because he was one of the most wanted terrorists, who was the head of ISIS for forever, guilty of tons of crimes against humanity. And, now he's meeting with Donald Trump, like in the White House. He's president. He's held up as a hero, by us. So it's not like we only give this treatment to Israelis, but I feel like it's most out in the open, and it's been going on for decades and decades and decades with them, and they have probably the most leeway. But this is what we do with all our proxies. We have them commit crimes against humanity in our name, and then we give them passes for it afterwards, as long as they do what they're supposed to do. So
yeah. So I'm going to finish this segment off with one more bit of information, because I know we've talked about this, and this needs to be said more and more, because we understand that the way we conduct ourselves, and I say we as in whatever money we're spending, whatever whatever we're investing in, whatever we're rooting for, whatever we're getting people to champion, the manufacturing consent, whatever we're doing in foreign countries, we bring it here. That's always the case. And DD Geopolitics reminds us this with the technology that we have right now that's being used, that's been being used in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Syria. We bring that technology home, and this is what we know for absolute fact. It's not just a theory now. We know this. We told you that Gaza was a testing ground. AI-powered drones, first used by Israel to surveil and bomb Palestinians in Gaza, are now flying over American cities, spying on protests, scanning crowds, and automatically uploading footage to police databases. The company behind them, now I hadn't heard of this. We know Palantir's doing a lot of it, but this other company, Skydio, quietly became the largest drone manufacturer in the U.S. with contracts across 800 plus police and security agents from New York to Chicago to Miami. These same drones, once mapping Gaza's ruins, are now tracking Americans at demonstrations. They fly anonymously. Now, we've seen these. I know Leslie and I've seen these above us. They fly this. So this is the same drone stuff they used in Gaza. They fly around using these chips, thermal imaging, 3D mapping, no human pilot needed. And that data goes straight into Axon's digital evidence system. So we're all in this digital evidence system, Jay. The same company that supplies tasers and surveillance tech to Israeli police and prisons. What? Those same prisons that we just covered this story in, Jay? Is it the same police prisons that we're trying to keep this footage hidden and keep everybody controlled and surveilled and keep things on the hush hush? Behind it all, venture funds tied to Israel's military-industrial complex, i.e. Andreessen Horowitz, Defense Sync, and X-Unit 8200 networks. Gaza wasn't the end of the experiment. It was the beginning of a domestic surveillance regime built from a war zone. And that's the visual to give you guys a sense of it. We've arrived. This has arrived.
And just so everyone knows what that Unit 8200 refers to, that would be a unit that used to be, it's either Mossad or another Israeli intelligence agency that was working on programs that were too extreme to be associated with the Israeli public sector. So they essentially had the people in that unit exit government officially, but embark on projects in the private sector that carried out the exact same mission. So they're essentially privatizing the stuff that is too dark even for the Israeli government to put its name on. So whenever you see Unit 8200, that goes back to Israeli intelligence.
Yeah. So there it is, guys. We're bringing it home, and we're all in this. We're all in this together, whether you like it or not. So you better be on the side of the protesters and the people fighting back, because it's a war. It's a people versus the power, and the Zionist psychopaths that they think they can control the conversation. Well, no, it's we're going to take that power back. That's what we're doing here.